The 10th tile or slide yeah, plate that we want to keep spinning is the four whys. When you're looking at doing any kind of product or project or process in a company, there are usually only 3 or 4 whys why they actually do something. In his book, Value Forward Selling by Paul DeModica, if you're familiar with the concept of sales value proposition, he's the one who coined the phrase. In one of his more recent books, he wrote about the 3 whys. The only 3 reasons executives will actually do something. It's either to increase revenue, save costs, get rid of, mitigate risk, or, and then later Ted and I added, do the right thing. So we have 4 whys. And so a lot of times that gets lost in companies. Typically not, but many times, especially in bigger companies, this part can end up in a different place completely than where you thought it needed to be. So, if you're looking at doing a project, and whenever we've looked at doing projects, we've always looked at, okay, or assignments, or yeah, anything that we're doing for our customers or for the companies for which we've worked, we always looked at it from the perspective of, is what we're doing going to help the company increase its revenues? Is what we're doing going to help them save costs? And is what we're doing going to help them get rid of or mitigate risk? And a lot of people will ask about, well, what about time to market? Well, that's increasing revenues because you get there first. And so you're reaping the benefits before your competition can do that. And so it's also a little bit of risk mitigation for that one, because if you get there first, the theory is that you may have less risk of economic loss. That doesn't mean that you might not have higher risk if the product was rushed to the market too quickly and all of a sudden you have a quality issue and all of a sudden you've got all those headaches to deal with. So the fourth one, do the right thing. Maybe that could have been first. Some people might like to see that one first. Most of the time, I don't think that companies are doing things because it's the wrong thing to do. It's just not always explicitly called out, hey, this is the right thing, and we want to do that. As I mentioned earlier with the Nokia example, in the beginning, they were innovating. That was pretty innovative to go from making rubber boots and rubber tires for cars and switch over to making cellular telephones. That is what we would call creative destruction. And they were looking at the trends in the industry of both that there wasn't much of a future in rubber boots and rubber tires. And they were trying to look over their horizon using anticipatory vision of what's that next big thing coming over the horizon. These days, we would look at that from an agile coaching perspective or just purely an agile perspective. But typically, that's the domain of agile coaching, helping with the innovation and helping find that anticipatory vision, that burst of brilliance where everybody goes, oh, okay, that's the one. And of course, we have the vision, strategy, people, and tasks on both halves of this equation. On the other half is what I would call management consulting. And that has to do everything with operational excellence. At the end of this presentation, I've got a bunch of additional slides that will be bonus slides that we'll go through. So if you want to see those will be at the end of the presentation. And a lot of companies focus on operational excellence at the cost of innovation and anticipatory vision. When we're doing assignments, I remind my Agile coaches that you're actually always wearing two hats. The first hat is the Agile coaching hat, and that's how to get the team going and how to deliver remarkable results where the customer steps back and goes, oh wow, that's really great. That's the Agile coaching hat, and it's all of those good things that we do in Agile to raise the team to sustainable higher levels of performance. The management consulting hat, on the other hand, is actually being able to speak the language of the executives, understand the importance of operational excellence, and that this is a both and, not an either or. So right about now, Agile purists will be wailing and gnashing their teeth and saying, oh, but management, they're the root of all evil. Guess what, guys? No, they're not. Grow up. Stop saying stuff like that. The management is necessary. There's an incredible amount of knowledge and experience, and to just come in and throw that out is not wise. So, when I hear Agile coaches say that, that just really irritates me, because that just demonstrates a level of ignorance that will continue to ensure that they never step foot in the executive offices. And so that just blows my mind when they say things like that. The both and of Agile coaching and management consulting, again, you use it in every box. So if you're working with an individual, you need to always keep in the back of your mind, okay, am I taking this from an Agile coaching perspective, or do I need to take this from the management consulting perspective? We ran into a situation recently where our team and the product that we were working with, that we're trying to launch out into the organization, was experiencing a lot of resistance and pushback. Not within the team, inside the team room and in the Agile safe space, we had plenty of great results with the team. Where we were running into problems is the minute we walked out the door into the rest of the organization, that wasn't Agile. And so we realized very quickly that we were going to have to wear two hats in a number of circumstances and instances. I can give you an example where one of the teams, we were consistently hitting, let's say, around 70 points. And remember, points can end up a proxy variable, so you have to be very careful using those. But let's say they're hitting 70 points per sprint, and we had maybe 150 points in the sprint backlog consistently. And our enthusiastic Agilists, one of them, he decided that, oh no, we need to do this according to the book, and let's match up the sprint backlog, the size of the sprint backlog, to the actual velocity of the team. Yeah, great theory. All right, let's test it out. So he went ahead and took everything off the sprint backlog, and we started over. And as far as how many points would go in each sprint, next sprint we put 70 points and only 70 points on the board. Care to guess how many points the team actually delivered that sprint? Yep, about half. They delivered like 35 points for that sprint. After a couple of sprints of doing that, the Scrum Master and we had a chat, and we realized that since this was a matrix organization where people are assigned to multiple projects, the minute that you reduce the point amount, the team members were immediately pulled away to other projects by their line managers because they said, oh, well, there's not that much work to do. We'll just pull them off and have them work on these other higher priorities instead. So what we decided to do is an Agile anti-pattern. And what we did is we put about 200 points back into the sprint backlog from that point forward. And suddenly the team started delivering 100 points to 150 points every sprint. And so by over-pressurizing the system, that was the only way that we could come up with, or that we hit on while we were there through experimentation, that the only way we're going to be able to fight the matrix and win is to overpressurize the system, create an agile anti-pattern that every agile purist would be horrified to see. But guess what? It worked. And the team started delivering the points, and suddenly it alleviated that problem of making sure that they were moving in the right direction for their goal. And so that's an example of wearing both the agile hat and the management consulting hat. If we had followed the party line for agile, we would have gotten slaughtered, and the team would not have delivered what they delivered within the 10 months that we were working on that part of the project. So always keep in mind that there's more going on. And I would suggest that if you're going to do a rollout, scaling, transformation effort, you better have agile coaches that are not only really good agile coaches, but that they're also really good management consultants as well. Otherwise, you risk running into situations that could just blow a big hole in the side of the boat and sink it as far as agile and agile transformation goes. So this is a really important concept to remember. And yeah, but anyways, agile coaching on the one hand, management consulting on the other hand, they are just tools. They're there to be used, and you use what makes sense. So here's the key leadership tools that I would use by lens, the primary ones. For the individual, you'll see that it's the 4R model with right truth, right values, attitudes, right actions, right results, with the individual's vision and their spirit in the center. For the Agile team, for them, I would use primarily the 4D model and overlay that over Scrum, Agile, Lean, Kanban, whatever they're doing, in order to raise it to higher levels of performance. The same thing for the product, program, process box up there in the upper right. I would do the exact same thing with them using the 4D model. And for the enterprise level, I would be using both hats in dealing with the executives, both helping them come up the agile consulting curve and helping them build operational excellence into the agile organization that they're building. So that at the point when they get to the point there where they need to do creative destruction, they actually have the tools in their hand for all of the boxes to be able to go, okay, here's where we need to make a decision point. Here are the trends. Here's what's happening. And this is the direction that we should go. And if we have all these parts in place, you have a pretty good chance of having a successful rollout, a successful scaling, a successful transformation, and hopefully even a successful way to start to govern an agile organization as they're transforming from the traditional classic waterfall style over into an agile lean type of organization. The 13th area that we're going to talk about, so we're up to 13 of the plates that we're spinning in the circus, is are you having flow or anti-flow or something in between? And so on the left vertical axis here, we have the vision and the vision clarity and the flow clarity. So if you don't have a good vision and it's low, well, we'll see the effect of that. But if you have a really clear vision, we will be able to see the positive impact that could have, depending on some of the other parameters in this. On the horizontal axis, we've got understanding and delivery. So do you have a high level of understanding, and does your delivery capabilities match that?